There's a soil survey from the Amazon that I keep coming back to. It describes strips of earth, jet black, deep, and rich, sitting in the middle of one of the poorest soils on the planet. All around them, pale, worn-out dirt that can barely hold a crop for a season. And then these dark bands, fertile enough to farm right now, today. Here's the part that stops you. Nobody planted those strips by accident. Somebody made that soil, on purpose, 2,000 years ago, and it is still working. The people who made it didn't leave an instruction manual. They left the soil itself, with broken pieces of their pottery still mixed down in it. They didn't write the secret down. They buried it. Literally. And it sat there, outliving the civilization that made it, waiting for somebody to dig back in and ask the obvious question. How is dirt this old still alive? I'm going to tell you what they did, why it works, and why the modern world looked at the answer and decided it wasn't worth the trouble. Stay with me. This one changes how you think about what soil even is. They call it terra preta, black earth. You find it along the rivers of the Amazon basin in patches, sometimes small, sometimes covering acres. And it does not behave like the ground around it. The surrounding rainforest soil is a bit of a cruel joke. It looks lush because all the life is locked up in the trees, not the dirt. Clear that forest and the soil underneath gives you a year or two of crops before the rain washes it hollow. That's the normal story down there. Poor, thin, hungry ground. The black earth breaks the story. It's loaded with nutrients. It holds water. It's been measured holding far more nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and calcium than the dirt right next to it. And it doesn't wash out the way you'd expect. Whatever those people did, they didn't just feed the soil once. They built something permanent. So what did they do? Here's the whole thing, and it's almost insultingly simple. They made charcoal, and they put it in the ground. Now, there's a distinction that matters, and it's the difference between their method working and ours failing. When we clear land, we burn it. Slash and burn. Fast, hot fire, and the wood goes to ash, and the ash gives you a quick hit of minerals that's mostly gone in a season. They did the opposite. They charred. Slow, smoldering, starved of oxygen, so the wood didn't turn to ash. It turned to charcoal. Black, hard, porous carbon. Slash and char, not slash and burn. And then they worked that charcoal down into the soil, along with bones, food scraps, broken pottery, the ordinary waste of a settlement. Here is why that charcoal is the key to the whole thing. Charcoal does not rot. Ordinary organic matter, leaves, compost, manure, it breaks down and feeds the soil and then it's gone, and you add more next year. Charcoal stays. Some of these soils have been measured carrying up to 70 times more of that stable black carbon than the surrounding ground. 70 times. And it locks that carbon down for centuries. But it's not the carbon by itself that grows the food. It's what the charcoal does once it's down there. Look at a piece of charcoal under magnification, and it's not solid. It's a sponge, a honeycomb, miles of tiny pores and surfaces in a single handful. That structure does two jobs at once. It grabs onto water and nutrients and holds them in the root zone instead of letting the rain flush them away. And it gives soil microbes a place to live, a vast sheltered reef for the bacteria and fungi that actually feed your plants. Researchers studying charcoal-treated soil found nitrogen uptake in plants jumping by something like 280 to 400%. The charcoal isn't the fertilizer. It's the bank, and the house, and the water tank, all in one black, indestructible lump. So if it's this good, and it's this old, why isn't every garden in the world built on charcoal? Part of it is just loss. The people who perfected this are gone. The knowledge went with them, and the soil sat there silent for a couple of thousand years until scientists in the last century finally started asking how it was made. You can't pass down a recipe nobody's around to teach. But there's a second reason, and it's the same reason you've heard from me before. The modern answer to tired soil came in a bag. Soluble fertilizer, the kind that dissolves and feeds fast and washes out faster, so you buy it again next season. That's a business that works beautifully for the seller. A lump of charcoal that sits in your soil improving it for 100 years is the exact opposite of a product you can sell every spring. And on top of that, putting charcoal in your garden just sounded primitive. Backward. The forward-looking thing was the bag. So the oldest, most durable soil-building method we've ever found got quietly written off as a curiosity, while the thing you have to keep rebuying got called progress. Now let me give it back to you, and pay close attention to the second step. Because if you skip it, you'll think this whole thing is nonsense. Step 1. You make biochar, which is just garden charcoal. You burn clean, untreated wood in a low-oxygen way, so it chars instead of turning to ash. People do this in a pit, or a steel barrel, or a top-lit fire that burns downward, and then they quench it with water before it cooks away to nothing. I'll be straight with you about the cautions here. This is open fire and hot embers. Do it on bare, non-flammable ground, keep water on hand, know your local burn rules, and never, ever char treated, painted, or glued wood, because whatever's in it ends up in your food. Clean wood only. Step 2, and this is the one everybody ruins. Do not put fresh, raw charcoal straight into your garden. Fresh charcoal is a dry sponge, and the first thing it does is suck nitrogen and nutrients right out of your soil to fill itself up. Your plants go yellow and starve, and you blame the method. So you charge it first, you soak it, mix it into compost, drench it with manure tea or whatever rich organic brew you've got, and you let it sit for a few weeks until that sponge is fully loaded. Then it goes into the ground already full, ready to give instead of take. Work it into your topsoil, somewhere around 5 to 10% by volume, mixed with compost. Charge it first. Say it with me. Charge it first. Do that, and you're not feeding your garden this year. You're building soil that could still be feeding a garden when your grandchildren are old. That's the thing that gets me about those black strips along the Amazon. The civilization that made them collapsed. The cities went back to forest. The names, the language, most of the story, all gone. And the one thing that survived, the one piece of them still doing its job 2,000 years later, is the dirt. They didn't build a monument. They built soil, and it outlasted everything. So tell me, down in the comments, have you ever tried biochar or charcoal in the garden? Did you charge it? Or did you learn the hard way? And if there's a worn-out, won't-grow-anything patch in your yard, that's your test plot. That's where the black earth goes. The record's open now. Keep it that way.